الله أكبر الله أكبر.
بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. My dear respected brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Our talk today is about the faith of two generations. Our generation as first generation migrants, Muslim migrants, and our children's faith as second generation migrants who grew up in the West. It's not a secret that many parents have major concerns regarding the faith of their children nowadays. And they're looking for answers. They're looking for a way to raise their children while keeping their faith. And we see and hear of examples every day that we ask Allah not to be in their position in the future. Imagine that your son or daughter will not bury you when you die. They will cremate you because it's cheaper. There'll be no one to make dua for you. There'll be no one that will start an ongoing charity for you. And on top of that, you will stand in front of Allah and He will ask you and question you about how you didn't fulfill the obligations you had towards the gifts that He's given you. And inshallah, if we go to Jannah, imagine you're in Jannah and seeing your children in the hellfire. Now let me start with a question, and I would like you to pause the video after the question and think of an answer. What is your proof that Allah exists? Are you sure that you are a Muslim because you believe in Allah, or is it only because your parents were Muslims? I asked this question to many of my brothers and sisters, and the conclusion for the answers that I get, and I obviously ask myself the same question. The conclusion is that we grew up in a Muslim environment, Muslim countries, where everyone is Muslim, everyone says La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. Even the people who commit major sins, they still identify themselves as Muslims. Now what did that lead to? That created a safe environment where we had the opportunity to maintain our faith until later in life, when we got into problems, Allah started testing us. Then when we were in trouble, what did we do? We raised our hands and supplicated to Allah. We said, Ya Allah, get me out of this. Ya Allah, make this easy for me. And what does Allah do in those situations? Answers our calls. Every single time. Time after time after time. Now that leads to building an experience with Allah. Your belief gets stronger every time. You see it, you feel it. And that's how you go. Then what happens after that, if anyone throws a doubt on you, you have enough faith, you've seen enough. You actually live your faith. Now, none of the brothers that I spoke to, he mentioned things like the miracles in the universe, the sun, the day and night, the miracles that we see in ourselves, the miracles that we see in animals and plants. None of that. Everything was based on personal experience. A brother told me a story about himself once. He said at some stage of his life, he got angry at Allah. Things were not going the way he wanted them to. So he decided to stop praying and fasting and doing the things that Muslims should do. And he said, even at that stage, the idea of, becoming an atheist or basically, stop believing in Allah, it just never came to him. He said, I never knew anyone who was an atheist. I've never seen anyone who was an atheist. So it was impossible for him to have those ideas. Now, alhamdulillah, years after that, he returned back to the path of Islam, and alhamdulillah, he's now a better Muslim. But that just proves the idea that the environment plays a big role in the development of faith. Now, let's look at our children's situation. The environment is lost. The doubts are being thrown at them at a very, very early age. Temptations are huge. And this is not only here in the West. This has become a problem even in the Islamic countries with the internet and YouTube and all those sorts of things. The doubts are everywhere. And the problem is when, parents do not consider or do not think of those matters, things can become catastrophic later. Now, does this sort of faith, the one that we had, which is based on basic fitrah and the personal experience with Allah, does it still work for our children? Can we still expect to do the same thing and get the same results? I don't think so. Things need to change. And this, inshallah, will be our topic for next time. So till next time, stay safe, inshallah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.